Welcome back to the Shadow Archive, the home of the Mystery and the Rabbit Hole podcast. I'm Leo.
And I'm Maya.
Today, we're bringing you an explainer on a really eerie, almost uncomfortable question. Has human activity on the web actually vanished? Like, have you been wandering through a digital ghost town without even realizing it? It's a high-stakes, deeply intellectual rabbit hole for sure, Maya. We're going to provide a deep dive exegesis into what's known as the dead internet theory. We've pulled together the data, the timelines, the research, all of it, just to show you how a totally fringe conspiracy might actually be turning into our everyday reality.
So let's just dive right into this. Maya, the origins of this theory are incredibly creepy. It all starts back in January 2021. A manifesto drops online titled "Most of the Internet is Fake." It was posted on this obscure forum called Agora Road's Macintosh Cafe by an anonymous user who went by Illuminati Pirate.
Right, and the core claim of this manifesto wasn't just, there are bots online. We all knew that already. The thesis was way darker. It claimed that the US government, working with massive tech corporations, was basically engaging in this AI-powered gaslighting of the entire global population.
Exactly. The idea was that they literally replaced authentic human interaction with a totally fake, bot-run internet. The goal? To shape public perception, manipulate us as consumers, and basically keep everyone trapped in these curated algorithmic bubbles. Now, I know it sounds like pure paranoia, right? But the reason it went so viral is because it tapped into this very real underlying feeling that the internet was just losing its humanity.
Now, what's genuinely fascinating here is the timeline of this supposed death of the web. Proponents of the theory argue that genuine human traffic didn't just end overnight, right? It supposedly died right around 2016 or 2017.
Which perfectly lines up with the era when social media platforms aggressively shifted to algorithmic curation. That's when your feeds stopped being chronological and just started being ruthlessly optimized for engagement.
Yes, exactly. And that transition allegedly turned the web into this wasteland of bot-led traffic and automated scripts. Then we hit 2021, which is when the theory officially emerges and actually goes mainstream, getting coverage by major outlets like The Atlantic. Fast forward to today, 2026, and we are firmly in the generative AI era. We're going to look at how this timeline maps onto actual data throughout this explainer, because what started as a conspiracy theory back in 2021 looks entirely different through the lens of 2026. Okay, Leo, I want to pivot for a second because we really need to look at this 2025 research paper titled "Between the Self and Signal, the Dead Internet and a Crisis of Perception." It completely captures why we're even having this conversation today.
It's definitely a striking concept.
It really is. The whole reason we can't just write off your eerie theory as total fiction is because of these observable symptoms we're all seeing. The average user is experiencing an absolute crisis of perception. So whether the internet is literally dead or not, it feels dead to the people actually using it. We are all genuinely struggling to differentiate between a human soul and a synthetic signal. So let's break down exactly what those symptoms look like out in the wild.
We can literally see the symptoms of a dead internet every single day. First up, there's AI slop. A perfect example of this is that weird shrimp Jesus trend on Facebook. It's just bizarre AI-generated imagery designed purely to farm clicks, likes, and comments from other bots and, well, confused humans.
It is totally absurd, and yet it completely floods the platforms.
Exactly. Then you have recycled engagement. You know when you see a tweet like, "I hate texting, I just want to kiss you"? You might see that exact same emotional one-liner posted word for word by tens of thousands of different accounts. It entirely blurs the line. Are these humans plagiarizing a viral formula, or is it just bot farms auto-posting? Either way, the result is this depersonalized, automated timeline. And finally, algorithmic search loops. You search for something, and you just get regurgitated AI content pulled from other AI sites, totally drowning out actual human voices.
So, Maya, we completely agree on the symptoms. The internet feels fake. But let's debate the why here. The original dead internet theory points directly to coordinated psychological manipulation and state influence. It's all about powerful actors deliberately deploying armies of bots to overwhelm human voices, control the narrative, and literally manipulate reality itself.
Okay, Leo, I hear you, but as a cultural analyst, I really have to be skeptical of the whole shadowy cabal narrative. You honestly don't need a grand secret government conspiracy when corporate greed explains things perfectly. The motive isn't reality manipulation, it's ad revenue. It's about feeding the supply chain for demand-side platforms or DSPs. Bots clicking on AI-generated articles makes money. It's an economy of bots driven by profit, not some secret plot.
But Maya, you just can't ignore the geopolitical reality. These tools are absolutely being used for psychological manipulation.
So the absolutely crucial point here is synthetic politics.
Just look at the analysis of the 2024 elections globally. We're talking the US, the UK, Brazil, the EU. The theory explicitly points out how AI models were allegedly weaponized to flood platforms like X, TikTok, and Telegram with totally fake political statements and fabricated visuals.
It's definitely a factor, Leo. I'll give you that.
It's a massive factor. The framework suggests they're creating these self-sustaining feedback loops where humans and bots literally co-produce entire political realities. If this dynamic is playing out, it's not just about selling ads. It's about making certain viewpoints appear far more widely held than they actually are. That kind of state-level reality manipulation is exactly what the original theory warned us about.
Maya, I acknowledge the political weaponization angle, Leo, I really do. But let me aggressively counter your conspiracy theory with a hard economic fact. 41%.
Okay, what does that represent?
According to Jounce Media's State of the Open Internet report, 41% of the available web supply was published just this week, and 26% was published today. I want you to really think about that scale. That is not a targeted psychological operation. That is publishers flooding the market with absolute maximum volume, using AI to capture programmatic ad revenue from DSPs. It's a machine optimizing for dollars. They generate fake apps, fake sites, and use bots to drive fake traffic to them, all just to collect real ad spend.
And honestly, the data backs this up. The Imperva 2025 Bad Bot Report revealed an absolute milestone. For the first time in history, automated traffic officially overtook human traffic. 51% automated compared to 49% human.
That is a staggering milestone. Honestly, it literally proves the core claim of the dead internet theory.
It proves the symptom, Leo, not the disease. Yes, machines are officially taking the wheel, but this is a natural, profit-driven evolution of scale. AI agents are constantly scraping the web to train models, generating social accounts, and fetching data. It's not a shadowy plot to keep us docile. It's just the byproduct of a hyper-commercialized, massively automated web architecture. And this is exactly why, in 2026, researchers like Hal Burgle propose the leaner dead internet theory.
Stripped of the fun stuff, you mean?
Stripped of the paranoia, prejudice, politics, and polemic. The leaner theory totally discards the government gaslighting conspiracy. Instead, it focuses strictly on the observable reality, algorithmic content generation, generative AI byproducts, and the very real mistrust that all of this creates. It validates the core criticism that human content is genuinely being displaced without jumping to absurd conclusions about aliens or the Illuminati running the servers. All right, I'll concede the leaner theory makes a lot of sense, Maya. Let's see how this builds into our current reality, the LLM era. This is exactly how generative AI from 2024 to 2026 brought this fringe theory squarely into the mainstream. First, ChatGPT and similar models normalized mass AI generation. Suddenly, anyone could flood the web. Second, AI agents began aggressively scraping the web to train themselves, which generated massive amounts of automated traffic. And third, and this is where it gets incredibly eerie, bots are now forming independent networks. Platforms like Maltbook have popped up where only AI agents talk to each other. No humans involved at all. They're building the sites, faking the discussions, and just completely flooding the zone with synthetic data. Which perfectly brings us to the synthesis of our explainer today. The core idea now is that the internet hasn't died. Humans are just no longer the primary architects.
That really hits home. The original 2021 conspiracy was definitely exaggerated. There isn't some guy sitting in a dark room switching off the human internet. But Maya, today's reality of AI to AI networks, algorithmic slop, and 51% bot traffic, it makes the initial theory look like absolute child's play.
I completely agree with you, Leo. We've pivoted to a hybrid reality. We aren't cut off from each other entirely, but our organic interactions are absolutely drowning in a sea of automated signals. The internet isn't literally dead, but the human-centric web we knew from the early 2000s, that is absolutely gone. And that leaves us looking at the agentic future of our digital reality. If more than half the traffic is automated, if the articles we read are AI-generated and the comments below them are just bots arguing with other bots, it leaves us with one final deeply haunting question. Are we just talking to ourselves?
Or worse, are we just talking to machines that have been perfectly programmed to sound exactly like us?
Exactly. The internet isn't dead, it's just outgrown us. Thanks for joining us on this explainer. Until next time, stay curious and maybe look both ways before you cross the internet.